Well, hello there, folks. We are live. I want to welcome you guys to the live stream video for my segment of today's podcast, which is over an hour long, and you're going to get about 10 or 15 minutes at the most here from me today on the subject we're going to be talking about, which is why Spotify is not going to cancel Joe Rogan, because they can't afford to, and I think it'll make a lot of sense. I'm also going to say something, and don't anybody that doesn't know who I am freak out when I say it. Give me a minute to explain to you why I feel this way. I kind of wish they would. I kind of wish that they would. And it'll make sense when I explain it. Before that, just let me let you know what we've got going on the entire podcast today, which is available in audio. And again, there'll be a link in the video notes below, and you'll be able to get that podcast about an hour from right now. We've got Ron Paul and his team on the Liberty Highlights segment. Ron's going to talk about why the Freedom Convoy has actually already done a lot of good. And Dan McAdams from Ron's group is going to talk about why the convoy was such a brilliant idea. Chris Rossini over there is going to talk about the power of the word no when dealing with megalomaniacs. Jeff Lawton's going to talk about producing your own meat birds. Dr. Ken Berry on dealing with Crohn's disease. Nick Ferguson will be talking about planting the right trees to grow your own deer garden. What's that? You'll have to tune in to find out if you can't figure it out. Tim Toolman Cook will talk about making your deck invisible to the elements. And Nicole Sauce will talk about the ins and outs of hosting and running a podcast, which butts up really nice to what we're talking about today here with Joe Rogan. So here's the deal, guys. Joe Rogan will not be censored by Spotify. Joe Rogan will not be taken off of Spotify, and it's not because Spotify is a good group of people. Spotify has openly stated that they have censored something like 20,000 podcasts that had to do with COVID-19. I don't even know if that number is right, because I'm not sure there are 20,000 podcasts to censor that deal with COVID-19. And I have quite a few podcasts about COVID-19, one of which got me recently thrown in YouTube jail for a week, so I wasn't exactly pulling any punches. That's on Spotify, and they didn't censor that. So I don't know how much censoring or active censoring Spotify does, but I can tell you it's not 100% of all COVID-19 things. And this whole, misinformation crap is just, I think it's actually coming to a head with people. People are starting to realize they're being lied to. But none of that matters. It also doesn't matter that, who was it recently? These retreads from the 60s and 70s that nobody gives two shits about, right? Joining the train to get their name back out for 5 freaking seconds. Yesterday it was the Monkees. The freaking Monkees? Are you kidding me? Does anybody listen to the Monkees anymore? And the Partridge Family. Good Lord, you talk about being a washed up retread has-been, just begging for some, please look at me, pay attention to me. It doesn't even matter. It's not going to matter if freaking, I don't know who's popular with people now, Post Malone or Taylor Swift or somebody like it. Somebody's huge. If they do it, it's not going to matter. Spotify can't financially afford to censor Joe Rogan. Here's why. Very famously, Spotify bought exclusive rights to the Joe Rogan Experience podcast for $100 million. This is not a contract like you get if you are an anchor on Fox News or MSNBC, where it's $50 million over 5 years and you have a salary and we can fire you. We are purchasing the exclusive rights for whatever period of time the contract states anyway to your podcast. It won't be anywhere else. And there are some exceptions to it because Rogan continues to run segments, smaller segments like this one of my podcast on YouTube. So it's not exclusive as far as all the content. It's exclusive for the entire podcast from beginning to end. And I'm sure there's some limit on how long his segments that he can upload will be. And that's a big investment. That's 10% of $1 billion. It's real money. It actually matters. Now, here's the other thing. Spotify doesn't actually make a lot of money on music. Spotify actually makes most of its money on podcasts. When you do the math and figure out how people who pay for Spotify or use Spotify and see advertisements, if you look at their activity level on the platform. And here's how you have to work this out. Let's say you had a song that got, 1 million listens a week. That would be a huge song, or just even an artist that their combined material got 1 million listens a week on Spotify. That would be a big artist. I'm certain that, David Crosby or Neil Young or the freaking Monkees don't get 1 million downloads of their songs or listens to their songs a week on Spotify. But here's the thing. Even if they do, how long is the song? 2 to 7 minutes, right? For most music. And a lot of music's in that 3 to 4 minute window. That's kind of the perfect radio. So there's so much, radio frameworks. There's so much of that music that way. How long is a Joe Rogan Experience podcast? It's right around 3 hours. And if you take out like when he did the one with Robert Malone, he got 50 million downloads of 3 hours long of content. He doesn't do that every day. His average daily user base across Spotify is 11 million a day for 3 hours. And what you have to understand about that, that's a lot more than 11 million people. Because if you're like me, if you like Rogan, and I do, you probably don't listen to every show. You probably don't listen to every show I do. You probably don't listen to every show of any podcaster. So I actually have only listened to probably 3 or 4 dozen Joe Rogan Experience podcasts end to end. My favorite were a long time ago with like Randall Carlson and Graham Hancock. Those were some of the best. The Malone one was great. The McCullough one was great. Those are recents. But what that means, just think of it from your Spotify and your users. You're getting 11 million people downloading 3 hours of content a day on average with bursts that are much higher. And that means you probably have something in the neighborhood of 30 or 40 million people that actually caused that to happen. That's a pretty big piece of your customer base. And then look at, well, how much opportunity do you have for the people that aren't paying to advertise? So I listened to Neil Young's shitty song, and it's on for 2 to 3 minutes. You can't do an advertisement every other song. It wears out. So it's a fraction of a fraction contributing to the advertising. If I'm watching for 3 hours and I'm not paying the premium, you have a lot of ads you can run in front of me. You have a lot of money you can make off of me by keeping my attention that long. See how that works? Here's the other side of it. If I'm paying you, you're going to make an estimate of what content your viewer values the most by where they spend the most of their time listening. And if I'm listening to Joe Rogan once a week for 3 hours, it's probably going to produce more revenue for you, even on the premium model, than all the rest of my music listening combined. Not to mention, anybody can find any song they want, anywhere they want, anytime they want, anyway, anymore. So it doesn't even matter. There's not a lot of money in streaming music anymore, and there's not going to be. And there's going to be more and more ways that people get their music for absolutely free. And that's why they've come up with these subscription services and combine things like podcasts, because if it's $7 or $10 a month, a lot of people are like, it's not that much money. I'll have iHeartRadio or Apple Music or Spotify or whatever, Pandora Premium, because it's just not a lot of money. But if you piss somebody off, all of a sudden that $7, $8, $9 a month starts to be kind of annoying, and then they leave. So if Spotify censors Rogan, this is what happens. This is what happens. And Mike's saying that Spotify has to pay publishers for every song played. Correct. They don't pay me jack shit when they syndicate my podcast. They paid Joe Rogan one-time $100 million. He got his payday, and then he is obligated to stay there, right? So every time they play, shitty song by the Monkees get some money. Well, not anymore because they're off the platform now, what have you, right? So that eats away at the profit per song played, where they make a ton of money per podcast listened to. You see how that works? It's real simple. Well, if they start censoring Joe Rogan, I guarantee you Joe Rogan didn't walk into a $100 million contract without a lawyer at his side or 3. And I guarantee you there's a provision in there, because the main reason he went to Spotify is he got tired of having his shit taken off of YouTube, that he can't be censored. Now they can do it. They can say, we're going to sever our relationship with Rogan, or we're going to start taking down shows that we don't agree with. And then Joe Rogan can say, gee, did you guys go and break my contract? Well, I'm going to take my $100 million, bye, and then go do whatever he wants, because unlike somebody that's attached to Fox News or CNN or something like that, and that's part of the problem with these people calling for him to be canceled, they do not comprehend this. They're referring to him as a talk show star. He's not a talk show star, morons. He's an independent podcaster. That's what he is. Like, people are confused with what podcasts are now, because since people like myself, far lesser degree than Rogan, but people like myself, Adam Curry, there's a ton of us that we make our living doing this, and we've done really well with it, and we've been in the game forever. I've been doing this since 2008, and so the media finally kind of caught on to that, and now every news show, every talk show, everybody's got a podcast, produced by CNN or MSNBC or Fox News or some shit like that. So people that are new to the world of podcasting, the last 3 years, think that that's how podcasting works. No, dumbass. My podcast is being done from my freaking office in my freaking house right now. It'll go out, on YouTube here on the live stream. This segment of it will get, a couple thousand listens or whatever. But when it goes out through all the aggregation total services, my show gets about 200,000 plays per episode. And I do that as a redneck hippie duck farmer. I call my own shots. You can't cancel us. You can't cancel us. It's not a thing you can do. There's no switch with which you can cancel us. All you can do is push us off of aggregation services like Apple Music or Spotify. And this is why I started out with, I kind of wish Spotify would. Because I would love to see Adam Curry's Podcasting 2.0 become the de facto platform that people use to consume podcasts. And you ain't censoring that. You ain't censoring that. And I've said this for years with YouTube, taking down videos, shadow banning, and then finally banning people here and there. Do it. Ban me. Ban all of us, not just me. Ban everybody you disagree with. Step up, tech platforms. Be what you are, say what you are, and mean it. We know you're our enemies. We know you only tolerate us because we bring views in. We know all this. We know you despise us for who we are. Be what you are. Stand up and do it. Just ban all of us. And I'll tell you why. Because then they're done. Then there's nothing else they can do. That's why they've been on this slow bleed thing for months now. Slow bleed. They take out this person and that person. And Facebook bans this page with 1 million followers, but they don't outright ban the individual. And they just kind of let it float around, because they know if they were to do something like, if you purged, people as small as the Survival Podcast with a couple 100,000 listeners, and Joe Rogan with 11 million, and people like Adam Curry that probably has 1 million or so listeners and viewers, and you purged the big people all at once, then all of our people collectively will go somewhere else. That's why they do the slow bleed. But Spotify, it's not even that. Rest assured, folks, they will not do it, because it is a financial death sentence if they do. Rogan will keep his money, and he'll be like, hello, welcome to the Joe Rogan Experience. We're now on Apple. We're on Podcasting 2.0. We're on whatever. Wherever the hell he wants to go. He has money. You understand? He got his money. Now, I want to say something. People are saying Spotify caved by doing a warning, putting an announcement at the beginning of podcasts to talk about go to the CDC to get the latest information. The views expressed here may not be factual. They are the opinion of the host and his guests only, or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It means nothing. You know what it means? It means as much as when they put a warning label on a pack of cigarettes in the 1980s. People either quit smoking or they don't. They don't buy a pack of cigarettes and go, Surgeon General. Oh, shit. I got to get rid of that. I didn't know. Man, I didn't know. I thought they had vitamin C in them and stuff. Yes, I did lift that off of an 80s bit from Dennis Leary. But yeah, it won't matter. It doesn't matter. I guarantee you, most of what I put out that has anything to do with COVID on any major platform has a warning. No one cares. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's almost as irrelevant as Neil Young. Anyway, with that, we'll catch up with you with another one tomorrow. We'll have a really great show for you guys tomorrow, Out Back with Jack. Anyway, guys, I'll hang here for just a second if you guys have anything you want me to comment on. But I need to get rolling. We actually had a whole bunch of global warming fall out there. It's really white, cold stuff. I guess that's the global warming mix, right? It's all over the place. It's like frozen my car in and stuff. So I got to get stuff done here today and get on with producing the podcast. I haven't even done all the rest of the show yet, so I got to get that done. And I got to make my wife chicken soup, man, because when your wife asks for chicken soup on a cold, snowy day, you make it. Anyway, guys, I am gonna bow out here. I really mean what I said, though. And those of you who have been following me for a long time know I've said this probably 7-8 years ago. Ban us. Go ahead, YouTube. Go ahead, Google. Go ahead, Facebook. Go ahead, Twitter. Do it all at once. Just pick all of us who you want to silence and then have the balls to step up and do it. And we all know you won't. And we all know you won't. Every one of us knows you won't. Catch you guys later.